is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker and I'm your host. And today we are going to talk about a special way to approach your time, because a lot of people say, I've got no time to be healthy, and that's BS. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how you, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at how you can juggle it all, family and life and health and wealth and all of that, we're going to address that today. I'm so excited to have Kelli Calabrese with us. She is an entrepreneur, a wellness expert, a networker, speaker, and #1 best-selling author. And she's dedicated the past 32 years to helping people to live vibrant, strong, energetic, fulfilled years, enjoying a lifestyle of optimal health and abundance of wealth. She's appeared as a lifestyle expert on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, and in thousands of media outlets, including Oxygen, Shape, Women's Day, Healthy Living, Weight Watchers, and more. So without further ado, Kelli, welcome to the show.
Oh, Penny, thanks so much for having me. This is so fun.
You know, it is fun. And it's fun because you're a great example of you really can have it all. You know, people think, oh, I can't have a family and have my own business because that doesn't work. Or, you know, if I have my own business, I don't have the time to make sure that I stay healthy and vibrant and, you know, all of those things together. So we want to pick your brain today is how you do it.
Yes, I would love to tell you it. And I love the name of your show, Take Back Time. Time is such an interesting thing. You know, we're so ruled by time and money while we're here on earth. And it really does become the urgent thing that we allow to direct our day and ultimately who is in control of our time. And I hope that, you know, you're holding up the mirror and saying that it's me. You are the one who gets to choose every single day. And so I want to make the most out of my time here since it is so short and I'm only guaranteed today. And that's how I like to design my day in a way that is set up ideally for what my passion, my purpose, my profit really gets to align itself with. And that's when it really gets exciting. And so there are certain things that I've done. I've done, you know, studying personal development for 35 years and really trying to tweak what that looks like every day, knowing that the day and the time is going to be organic as life sort of comes up. But if you look at some of what we would call the super achievers, you know, people like Tony Robbins or Richard Branson and some amazing people like Brian Tracy or Jim Rohn, what did they do? Because obviously success leaves clues. And some of the things that they do that I've adopted is the importance of that morning routine. It truly does set the tone for your day. And I'm not sure what time people wake up. I actually wake up, when I open my eyes. I'm fortunate not to have to use an alarm clock, not to have super early morning appointments. And so I have a morning routine that sets my day up for success. And that includes just when I awake, breathing, gratitude, quiet time, prayerful time. And then one of the very first things that I do after going through the gratitude and prayer is I exercise very first thing in the morning. I mean, literally within minutes of waking up, I'm doing some exercise. It might just be stretching, deep breathing, cardio, or more aggressive weightlifting. But during that time, I'm feeding my brain good stuff. So I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to sermons, I'm listening to positive, energizing music and good messages. So right away, I'm getting the information that I need to set my mind and my body and my soul off to a good start.
Hold on a second. There's so much good stuff that you're talking about is we got to stop and talk about it, right? Because we want people to miss this. So I want to go back and repeat a couple things that you said and discuss around it a little bit more. So first of all, not everybody can choose when they get up, right? Because they may have a job that they're in, and that's okay, right? That doesn't mean that they can't have that morning routine, because you said it earlier, we choose every day. So we choose maybe not every minute of our time or every hour of our time, but we have more choices than we let ourselves believe. So that morning routine is a choice, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you need to get up 20 minutes earlier and get to bed 20 minutes earlier, I promise you, whatever you're doing, the last 20 minutes of your night is not something you're going to finish your life wishing you did more of. I mean, typically it's watching reality TV, scrolling social media, just kind of doing mindless things, distractions, whatever it is. You're not going to finish your life wishing you did more of whatever you did for the last 30 minutes or so of your day.
That's right. It also makes it harder to sleep if you're doing screen time, any type of screen time before you go to bed. So so you can wake up early and you can commit to yourself, right? That is the most important thing, is to commit to yourself, because I forget who it is that said you win the day with that morning routine by starting with that positive energy. So I'm going to ask you a question. There's a lot of people who talk about their morning routines and what they did. And you talked about gratitude, which I also write in my gratitude journal, and exercise and what kind of things you're thinking about and energy. I want to ask you, what don't you do, right? Because people need to take extra care is what not to do in their morning routine, is my belief. So what is not in your morning routine?
Exactly. I do not look at email messages. I do not look at social media. I don't look at, other than my kids. If there's a message from them, I'm going to check. I've got 2 late stage teenagers, and besides my 2 children, there's nothing that that's urgent or important to me on that phone, because then I'm letting someone else determine my day. And instantly I'm filling my head with, oh my goodness, about this meeting, or someone needs something, or did I follow through on that? No, not technology. I will choose what to put into my brain. I'm not going to let the outside affect what's going on. I'm going to choose. So I do not look at it.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that point, because it's so important. That's why I asked you that in that way, because I know that people who are successful, they don't do those things in the morning. Right? They start their day proactive, feeding their mind with and focusing on the activities, the actions that they're going to take that are most important to them, not everyone else.
You absolutely have to have boundaries, because otherwise you're letting the world dictate you. I mean, you're like a ship on the sea being tossed around by the waves. You are on a cruise to nowhere. If you ever want to reach a destination and get somewhere and achieve some things, you have to stay laser beam focused. And that's never been more important than today, where the world is moving so much faster than it ever has. I mean, we get more information in a week than people did in a lifetime at the beginning of the 1900s and, especially in the 1800s. So we have to put those boundaries up, or we will never be productive and get to the things that really are the tipping point and the difference makers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's go into, you were going to talk about your nutrition, because I think this is really important. And in your answer, I'd like you to address for people who say, I don't have the time to be healthy, right? They think that it takes so much time and effort to be healthy that they'll grab for that Snickers or eat that like heavy fatty food because it's fast and, and fast food type stuff. So tell us about your nutrition and where you get that level of vitality from and how easy it is.
Well, it takes less time and effort to be healthy than it does to be sick. I will tell you that. It takes way more when you're sick. Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, I thankfully have never been sick, but I have friends who have, and I've taken them to doctor appointments, and oh my goodness, to sit around the doctor's office for hours waiting and dealing with insurance and appointments and tests and decisions, and oh my goodness. I mean, that sucks the energy. I would much rather get up and exercise for 30 minutes and make myself a healthy shake. But it's a choice. It's a decision. Most people eat a maximum of 13 different foods. So they eat 2 or 3 different breakfasts, usually one during the week and one on the weekends. Mm-hmm. They may have 3 up to 4 different lunches and 4 to a maximum of 5 different dinners. So really you're looking at making over maybe 12 or so meals. So making a better choice than what you might be eating now if it's not excellent. So if you're having a bagel or a donut or Danish, how can you make that a little bit better? Well, how about some steel cut oats? And then how about adding some fruit? And so if you're doing pizza, how about if you got in some lean protein and vegetables? And so start with one meal at a time and start to make it over so that you're ultra nourishing your body with superfoods. I personally am not a cook. My job was to do good in school. I finished 3 college degrees by the time I was 22,
Whoa.
all in the science fields. And yeah, my job was to do well in school, high honors, 3.98 GPA, and I never really learned to cook. I got married very quickly after I was graduated, and my husband was a cook, and so I never really had to cook, but I don't miss any meals, and I figure out a way to make it convenient and affordable. For me, I use protein shakes. I do use bars. I get a lot of things that are pre-made but healthy. I mean, most of the grocery stores now have a market where they're making, you can get salmon and chicken and roasted vegetables and superfood salads, and they do make it simple. And for me, the 2 or 3 hours I would have spent cooking something, I'd rather spend a few extra dollars and have it, done for me, and spend that time doing what I love and what I'm good at, which is, coaching people or spending time with my kids. And it's worth it. And as a family, we do, like, on Sundays is our day. We all decide what we want to eat. We figure out our schedule, and everyone gets to pick. Even when the kids were little, we'd let them have choices. So, okay, you need a lean protein, you need a vegetable, you need a starch. Kids can figure that out even at 3 and 4 years old. You can give them choices and they feel empowered. And then as a family, you go to the store and you shop together and you come home and you prep the food together. Even little kids can wash string beans and they can help to peel oranges and prep things. And so you include the family in the decision making and you let them make the best possible choices. And then you prep for the week. So make it simple that way. This way you're never scrambling. You're never calling for that pizza delivery. And even with things like HelloFresh, if you do like to cook, that makes it a couple steps easier. All the ingredients are there, or some of those others that, are available today. There's so many options. There's really no excuse not to eat healthy. Even airports have healthier options now. Restaurants are having healthier choices. Typically, I would go to a restaurant and maybe have one thing on the menu that I could eat, and that might need to be modified. But now, there's restaurants where there's 8, 9, 10 things, and I'm like, oh, wow, that looks good. And so you might need to choose a better restaurant. You might need to beef up your cooking skills. One meal a day, I use a protein shake, so that makes it easy. I only need to come up with 2 other meals. One of them is usually salad-based with a lean protein, so that's simple. And then the other is a meal that has salmon or chicken, and could be beef or fish with some vegetables and a starch. So it's not that challenging. Most of my snacks are fruits or vegetables. I will use a protein bar occasionally, but I make sure that I pace my protein throughout the day. And you just need to have some kind of a plan, because when we wait till we're hungry and then it's kind of too late, and that's when we make the less than excellent choice.
Absolutely. I want to stop you there because that's the most important point. And you mentioned it a couple times, preparation. You can prep for the whole week so that you have the types of foods easily accessible that you want. It's so true. If we wait until the last minute and we don't have a plan, our impulses are not really what we should be trusted upon, right? Because we're gonna not always make the best choice because it's not always the easiest choice. And that's the same with our time. I think that food is a perfect example, but that goes across everywhere in our life, right? In terms of if we don't plan for something, that's why they have a thing called date night. If you don't plan to get time with your spouse, then time is gone and you haven't really made time to really purposefully connect with each other. Same with your kids, with all the activities that everybody's on. We need to really plan the time that we're together. So it's really across everything that we do, how important planning is.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
people will spend their time and their money where they see value. So if you're valuing soap operas, reality TV, video games, that's where you're going to spend your time, social media. But if you value your spouse and you value your children, then you will pour into that. And I hope you do, because, oh my goodness, it's just so important. In fact, that's why I wrote the book, The Mom and Dadpreneurs, because it is about family first, and then we tend to business and other things that we have passions about, that we, places we like to serve or things we like to grow and develop. But really, the priority of putting your family first and devoting the time into that is just so important, because when you don't, it will come back to rear its head, and it will be ugly later when you didn't pour into a child, loving them and teaching them all of the great characters and qualities you want them to have. That eventually will come out, and it'll be way harder to deal with, just like being sick will be. When you have a marriage or family that's going sideways, that will take all of your attention in a negative way versus really enjoying your family and, enjoying a healthy body, because they really go together. I mean, what's better than you have a healthy family and you can all go out and enjoy life?
Absolutely. I want to go back though to the point, and then I want to talk about your Mom and Dadpreneurs book and how people can really have it all. You said you spend your time and money where you see value. I'm going to play the devil's advocate there, and I'm going to say I don't believe that we always do that. I think we spend it where it gives us immediate pleasure, right? Sometimes it can be avoidance. And even though I hear people say they value their health or they value their family, but yet they're not necessarily spending the time and energy that I know that they really want to, but it's because they're impulsively looking for a short-term distraction to other stresses.
Yes, and I agree. By nature, people are lazy. By nature, people get into habits, and habits can be challenging to break, but it takes a decision, and people can do it. In fact, I was listening to Joyce Meyer this morning talk about her cigarette habits. She was highly addicted to cigarettes. She knew it wasn't good for her. She wanted to quit, but she was just physically addicted to that habit, and she struggled, and it was hard, and she prayed that God would just take that desire away from her. And eventually, she had to wean herself off. And, some people, it does happen in a moment where they make a decision, they never pick up a cigarette. So there's this sort of a trans-theoretical model of change where some people are in one end of the ditch where they just say, no, I don't need to change. I don't need to stop smoking. Drinking lots of alcohol and being obese is good for me. And obviously that's denial and ridiculous. And they're not valuing their health or being honest. But then there's a progression that happens where people start to consider, okay, I know I need to make this change. And then they start to investigate, like, okay, so if I was going to, lose some weight or cut back on drinking or stop smoking, what's the best way to go about that? And then there's some moment where you really do make a decision and you get the gym membership, or you stop buying the cigarettes, or you get an accountability partner or a coach, or you do something. And then there's this period of time that could be short or long where it gets into maintenance, where, okay, now it's more of a habit. It's a new habit. It's a better habit. It's a progressive habit. And then at some point it becomes just life. Like hopefully everyone brushes their teeth every day, and it's not something that takes a lot of effort. It's just normal and routine. But if someone says, oh, I value my health, but they're really doing things in the opposite of that in terms of thinking and action and habits, then they're really not.
What could you advise them for somebody who kind of knows that they're stuck in a self-sabotage kind of habit and they value something else? What would the first thing that they could do would be a suggestion from you?
Well, it starts with belief. And first you need to believe in yourself. And you said that before. You really need to start trusting yourself. And if you can't trust yourself, then you don't trust others either. So getting in a coach or an accountability partner or a book or, any information isn't really going to be helpful. You start by changing your belief, which changes your thinking, and then eventually your action and eventually your habits. So start with, for me, I like to write things down. I'm also a knowledge person. It helps me to understand why. Why do I want to do an intermittent fasting day? Why do I want to have a cleanse day? Why do I want to drink a protein shake? So I'm a knowledge person. It helps me to understand and know why. Some people are more emotional but writing things down and sharing it with someone and really making that commitment. I mean, that's why AA works for some people, because there's those 12 steps and there's accountability to it to make that kind of a change. And some people go for decades, even though they've been clean for decades, because they still want and need that accountability. So it starts with a decision, which means to cut off other possibilities, really decide, and then take a small step. It doesn't have to be giant, but maybe you're going to walk after dinner for 10 minutes, 3 days this week. You know, whatever you decide that you feel is realistic that you can do, then awesome. For example, one of my clients is an accountant, and she knows during tax season she has to dial way back on her exercise for 40 so days leading up to April 15th. And she's honest with herself about that. And she can trust herself to do 20 minutes 3 days a week, but she can't get in an hour 5 days a week. So you need to be realistic in those expectations, but you need to have forward progress too. And having that accountability partner for me is powerful, and I've seen it for other people. Some people need to commit with their wallet, because if they make a financial commitment to go to kickboxing or CrossFit or whatever it might be, or they hire that coach, then they're going to show up. And there's so many tools, and people are motivated in different ways. You know, some people can get an app, and they get that app and they can lose 100 pounds with an app. I've seen it happen. You know,
right. Everybody's different.
There are numbers. Yeah, they're a numbers person, and they see those numbers and they count their calories, and other people don't want anything to do with counting calories. They're more visual. So
really getting to know yourself and
person.
being aware of what works,
yes.
right, for you. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So we need to move on to the next topic, because I really want to hear, before we close out, I want to hear about the mom and dadpreneurs. You have a best-selling book out that really talks about how you can put your family in the forefront and focus on them and still be that entrepreneur at the same time. So tell us about the book, and tell us about 1 or 2 tips that you could share for people who either aspire to be a mom or dadpreneur or already are one.
Absolutely. Well, for me, I love to work. I love what I do. I have such passion and desire in me. And my background is in fitness, nutrition, wellness. I owned and operated a chain of health clubs. I was managing corporate fitness centers. I was running a school. It was just really connected to that was my identity. And then, you know, we planned to have a family. 7 years into our marriage, my son was born, and right away pregnant with my daughter. They're 14 months apart. And I just knew it wasn't the kind of mom I wanted to be with the hours that were required to run the business that I had. I mean, health clubs are 5 a.m. till 10 p.m, hundreds of employees, thousands of members, multiple locations. And that wasn't the mom that I wanted to be. So I took that jump of faith. It truly was a jump. And I had my partner buy me out, and I came home, and, you know, this was back in 2000 when the internet was really just getting going, and not a whole lot was being done online with fitness, exercise, weight loss, any of that. It was still really new, but I just decided I was going to figure it out. And so through my own journey of just designing, how can that happen? How can I still contribute to my industry on a really high level and do what I love, but be here to raise these babies? Because I knew I was supposed to be. And so for the last, 19 years, I've been figuring that out, and certainly did not do it perfect, at all, made lots of mistakes. But I didn't want it to just be my story. So in the Mom and Dadpreneurs book, there's about 30 different stories, and some are traditional families like mine was. Some are single parents, some are adopted, blended. I mean, I wanted to show everyone that anyone can do this. Some of them are immigrants. Some of them were accountants who had, worked their way up 8 years of college, corner office. I mean, they had a lot to lose, but they made that decision that they didn't want to miss out on a dance recital. So the book is designed to give people hope by reading the stories that if an immigrant can come over from Russia and leave corporate America, Wall Street, and become a millionaire with a home-based business, that anyone can do it. So it is a compilation of some amazing people who overcame great things, and never perfect, never easy. The success is not linear. There were ups and downs. But what I love about it is they're really raw, and they give you examples of what's possible. So I hope that it inspires people, because we all have a dream inside of us. We all have a purpose and a plan and a passion on our life, that you can come home and raise your family. And it's going to look different for everyone, but still really give back in a way that, contributes to society, your industry, but also provides for your family. And the benefits to your kids are amazing. To see a mom and dad who are, taking risks, who are growing. I mean, my business was always out of my house, and my kids got to meet really cool people, and we had meetings here, and we had people stay, and, they got to travel with me and see mom speak and be a part of what I do. And so, I love when kids can really see that entrepreneurial mom and dad, because they're watching and they're gleaning off of that versus, my kids' friends would come over and oh, what does your dad do? And they just kind of shrug. I don't know. Puts on a suit, he leaves. They didn't really know, where my kids were really engaged in my business. So yeah, they can get it on Amazon, momanddadpreneurs.com. It is a best-selling book, and I hope people pick up a copy and share it. People, like you said, whether you're in it or you aspire to be there, or someone, definitely get a copy of that book. It helps so many people. With the nutrition too, if it saves them time, I would love to share my nutrition system. I've coached over 12,000 people on it, and everyone from high school, college students, through executives, through seniors. It's just an amazing, nourishing program to give you energy in life that's simple, convenient, affordable, and proven it works.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, we covered a lot of ground. I feel it was really productive.
Oh, good.
So,
good use of time.
Yeah, exactly. So take back time, right? Because when they put these principles into practice, that's what's going to take back time. So thank you, Kelli, for being here and sharing your wisdom and all that you bring.
It is my pleasure, Penny. Thank you. And if they want to, find me, social media, it's my name, Kelli with an I, Kelli, Calabrese, Calabrese. And my website is the same, kellicalabrese.com, and email kelli@kellicalabrese.com. It's really, really easy to find me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Penny.
And thank you all, because you are walking away today with a lot of great insights and tips and things that you can really put into place, because it's really about believing in yourself and understanding that you have a choice in each of these areas that we talked about today. So go and make good choices so that you can take back time. My name is Penny Zanker. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.